Madam Chair, dear members of the committee, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present my case. This petition addresses a Belgian law on paid study leave that creates a discrimination towards mobile EU citizens. Workers in Belgium, in fact, enjoy the right to a paid study leave, but only if the training takes place in Belgium and on site. This limitation therefore excludes workers that study in another member state, regardless of the quality and recognition of their study programs, be their course of study in Italy, as in my case, or for example in Maastricht, just across the border. The Belgian legislation, in the absence of a new framework, hinders the freedom of movement of European citizens, failing to comply with the requirements of necessity and proportionality set out by the Court of Justice in the Gephardt case. Moreover, it limits access to cross-border learning opportunities, while, according to Eurostat, only about 10% of the adult population participated in educational training in the previous month. Notably, the OECD has found that the lack of time due to work commitments is the single most prominent obstacle that prevents adults from attending trainings. The European Commission itself has noted in the impact assessment on individual learning accounts that access to paid study leave in Europe is often limited by restrictive eligibility criteria, for example, excluding employees without permanent contracts, resulting in a very low take-up, below 1% on average. The Commission estimates the annual cost of a 5% take-up at 5.9 billion euros, significantly smaller than the net benefits of comprehensive policy packages for adult learning, estimated at more than 50 billion euros after 5 years. It is therefore necessary to call not only for the reform of the Belgian framework, but also, above all, for European action in the form of a directive providing for a minimum harmonization of the right to pay study leave, based on Article 153 of the TFEU. This directive should ensure that paid study leaves are accessible, first of all, for all workers in the EU, in line with Article 20 of the Council recommendations on individual learning accounts and the ILO Convention on Paid Educational Leave. Second, for all forms of learning, including non-formal education and online programs, also across borders. Third, based on the free choice of the individual to attend trainings that are relevant to them with the support of career guidance. Why is this issue so important? Because this is a matter of equality, and equality across the whole EU, across borders. Learning cannot be a luxury reserved for those that can afford to work less or that can have flexible working arrangements. It is especially people in low-paid and demanding jobs that need it the most. It is especially those vulnerable workers whose jobs are at risk of automation or disrupted by the green transition. How can we expect, for example, a single mother from Romania working here in Belgium as a healthcare assistant to find time for upskilling, or to go on an Erasmus Plus mobility? Where is the European education area for people like her? A transnational paid training leave would help her not only to find the time for training, but also to access distance learning programs in her own language. Therefore, I encourage the committee to turn the first principle of the European Pillar of Social Rights, the right to lifelong learning, into a reality for all workers, urging Belgium to reform this law and inviting the Commission to present a legislative proposal on the right to pay study leave. We need to take action for all Europeans. Only by providing everyone in the EU with education opportunities across borders, we can build a more just, equitable and forward-looking Europe. Thank you.